and welcome to this afternoon's session with Daydream Believers and Acrylicize. Their session is entitled Reimagining Wellbeing in Our Schools. And we're very excited to have Helena, Katie Simpson, Philippa Drummond, and Lucy and James joining us from Acrylicize today. And I'm going to be handing over to Helena to get us started. So thank you, and thanks all for taking part.
Hello, everybody, and thanks, Jonathan. It's lovely to be here, and we feel really honoured on a rare and hot sunny day in Scotland. You have joined us, and we don't mind if you're doing this in the garden, or even if there's a little glass of wine, because this is all about well-being, people. So whatever makes you smile, that is very much on the agenda today. As Jonathan said, we're absolutely delighted that from down over the border come Lucy and James live from their studio in London, and this is the first time that they've joined us in an event like this, so we're really excited. I'm a little bit nervous. I've got history in these events for just suddenly quitting, just not to make you nervous there, Jonathan, but a dodgy Wi-Fi. So my well-being will be very much restored if we get to the end of this and all goes well. So we're going to kick off. We're going to be fairly sharp at quick getting through what we need to do, because we've got a big story to tell you. So I'm just going to share the slideshow. A huge thanks to Julia and Barbara and Jonathan and all the team for inviting us along today. We feel really thrilled to be part of that. I'm hoping that you can see that. Katie or Philip, if you can give me a wee shout out that everything's okay.
Yep.
Brilliant. Okay, so we are recording this. If you want to turn off your camera during presentations, feel free to do that. You know the usual. But we would really love you, if you haven't already done that, to have a little bit of paper and some pens, so to clear a little bit of space for yourself. Because our session today is all about well-being and wellness. And we're really excited to share with you a new challenge on Daydream Believers as part of our creative thinking qualification. And the challenge is a really simple one. Create a new wellness area in your school. What does it look like? And really importantly, how would you activate the area? So if you don't know us already, hey, where have you been? We are the Daydream Believers, a group of dreamers and doers. We would really love if you don't already follow us, if you could follow us at b_daydream, and you'll see there our website. We're on a mission, everybody, and now that you're nice and relaxed, we're going to give you a job to do, because we want to get creative thinking and support it across every school in Scotland and beyond. And I truly believe that if you've turned up today on a Monday afternoon at this time, with only a couple of weeks to go before the holidays, that mission is very much at your heart. So today is really exciting for Daydream. It's kind of a meet the makers, and you're going to meet the people who have been shaping some of the resources, as well as some of the teachers who are going to share with you the lived experience of working on the Daydream resources and the qualification. So, having said to you, we want to follow you in Daydream, I want you to do yourself a massive favour. I can hear things pinging in as people arrive in, and that sound and those little notes of notification are often enough to make you, So what I want you to do is give yourself a break and give yourself an hour just for yourself, and come with us on a journey. Put your do not disturb sign on, whether you have to shut the door and put a sign on it, or whether you do that on your computer. Switch off, because we need you to have a little bit of space, and we want you to do. It turns out that email apnea is a thing, and we know that. Before we join something, we join a meeting, we hold our breath. Before we open our emails, we hold our breath. So this exercise is about a little bit of breathing space, and it's about creating breathing space for our young people in our schools, but also for yourselves. To do that, we're going to give you a mixture of sort of insights, questions, but firstly, we're going to ask you to have a pen and a bit of paper and come with us on a journey. And what I'm showing you here is one of the resources that you can download for free at the minute from Glasgow School of Art called Something from Nothing. And it's just a really simple 50-minute lesson. It talks about a scribble. So the students are given a scribble. They have to look at it. They have to look at it longer. They have to turn it around. They're asked, what do they see? And then they have to think about ways that they could transform that. So take nothing or something and make it into something. So what does it say to you? Is it a face? Is it the sea? And we've used this, and Philippa with her amazing kids at Drummond High School have done this, and this is some of the examples. So what we would love you to do as our first task is to just have your page and a piece of paper and draw your own scribble. So just draw something, whatever it is, just a line, a squiggle, whatever. And then we used to call this kind of taking the pen for a walk, taking the line for a walk. And we're going to do that as we walk through this next kind of 50 minutes. We want you to turn your scribble around and imagine possibilities. So as we work with you, as we talk to you, as we share our story throughout this next 60 minutes, keep doing this. So if you've done one and it looks interesting, try something else. And we believe that as you're doing this, that something will start to speak to you. So no line really ever goes from A to B, much as we would like it to be like that. I don't think any of us could describe, and certainly over the last 2 years, our lives looking anything like that. To be honest, if you've been anything like me, this is what it's been like. A kind of white knuckle ride. Holding on for dear life at times, twists and turns, unexpected moments of sheer joy, excitement, then plummeting down into, oh my goodness, I didn't see that coming moments. And in a sense, when I saw this GIF, it reminded me a lot of a starting point for a line that really was the spark for Creative Bravery and Creative Bravery Festival and Creative Bravery playlist that we have now on Daydream Believers. So maybe this is a line you want to draw. Maybe this line, or there's some part in a particular, summarizes something up for you. Is there a particular part of this experience, the pit of confusion and despair, or are you at the slowly getting there stage? Either way, it's all fine. What is good is that you look at what's going to happen to be. We're going to end up somewhere better than we ever imagined. Creative bravery is taking risks, paying attention, collaborating, embracing the uncomfortable, making it up as you go along, creating despite fear, and looking to the future. And that is very much at the heart of what Daydream is about. And I love this quote because it talks about, working with our young people, not just to develop their wellness, but also to develop their resilience, to tolerate the anxiety of not knowing the outcome. And it's that kind of student agency and teacher agency that we believe is really important for our young people at the minute. And we're doing everything we can with partners like Acrylicize to ensure that this is what we create and this is what we support in our classrooms. So many of you know Daydream. I don't have to explain it. It's there. It's really not that difficult. It's very simple. It's free. It's all there. You can go in and download. You can filter it by age or range or duration. You can look at the qualification, download a bravery playlist. You can take this away. And the idea is very much based around trust our teachers, use this as a scaffold. And we preach that to not just our schools, but we preach that to our partners. Help us create something that we know can have an impact in our classrooms. And we've been so delighted to work with amazing partners. Acrylicize, as you see there, Ellen MacArthur Foundation, Whitespace, Rockstar, Lego have all come forward. And they've come forward because it's you, it's the people like you, people working in education that they care deeply about. As you know, in January of this year, we set up a new qualification in creative thinking. It's a level 5 and 6 with 24 SCQF points. And we've been working with Edinburgh College and Edinburgh Napier University to look at how we can get this into every school in Scotland. And it's been that collaboration with both the university and the college that has been hugely inspiring for all of us in the team. It's a simple process. There are just 5 learning outcomes mapped against the design process: research, conceptualize, iterate, fail fix, communicate, and evaluate. The emphasis, unlike other hires and National 5 qualifications, is on the process, not the product. It's all formative assessment. And just as you see there, those 5 learning outcomes translate into those simple, that simple process and those 5 simple icons. And they're the icons that we use to support the assessment with the Stamp It. You can get this stamp on the website. You use it as part of the formative assessment. That's a D, that's an A. And it enables teachers and students to see the link between creative thinking and that process. And the same is the case for the Stellar app, which, as you can see here, enables you in real time to move the sliders up and down, and the rubric for the level 5 appears, or if it's the level 6, it's that different rubric. So that is the Creative Bravery playlist that's got 4 challenges. Just as you see, you can go in now and download those for free. They include the challenges and the warm-ups, and that's what they look like. Circular brand, create a fashion brand that is sustainable, not fast. Van of Dreams, you've been given an interactive mobile space for a community, campaign for kindness, and Philip is going to talk about that a little bit more. And Thoughts Become Things, reimagine a hospital reading room. So it works like this across an academic year. And as we develop up more playlists, you plug and play these challenges into that. We've been so happy that 10 schools, and I'm hoping some of the teachers from the schools are out there and maybe share some of their story too with you. And they've been working with us across the year. 10 brave teachers took on this challenge in the height of a pandemic. And we will be forever, ever grateful to them. So we now come to the bit where we're sharing a first look with you, and that's why we're talking about this launching in May 2022. What you're going to learn and see now is stuff that no one else has seen out there. It's our new Places and Spaces playlist. The first challenge, which is the one that Lucy and James are going to share, Rethink the Assembly Hall as a Wellbeing Space. We are working with Ellen MacArthur Foundation on Reimagine a Theme Park inspired by the ecosystem of a forest, and recreate a space where business and community and nature can flourish is the resource by Lego that we're also developing. So I'm going to pause there a little bit. What I would like you to do is to have a think at the minute about your own experience of assembly halls. What are they like? What was that like for you? So a little bit like the line that we were drawn. Just draw a simple kind of box shape. Think about what that shape is like. Think about your assembly hall. Maybe it's something from your memories from school. Maybe it's something from your memories as a teacher. I remember mine always smelling of school dinners. I don't know if this, you could tell what was cooking, and it was never, something you wanted to eat. I was very scared in our assembly hall because my best friend was a fainter, and she was apt to taking a whole row down with her. So you were always a little bit on the edge, which added that little bit of fear to it. And also some of our teachers were quite scary if the line wasn't straight. That was at the stage that many teachers, maybe hark back to, I don't know, but when you could walk down the line and hit kids with a ruler. So anyway, that was my experience of a wellbeing space and what that was like. I'm now going to hand over to the amazing Lucy and James, and they're going to share with you what they've been doing and how they've been working on reimagining the space. And the resources that they're going to show are been built, so they're still not available. Just as I said, it'll be May 20, another month or so. They'll be good. All that whole playlist good to go. So can I just say thanks to Lucy, because she's not used Teams that much and she's come on here and fixing.
It's going to be a technical nightmare. but we'll get through it. Thanks, Alina. And hi, everybody. I'll just introduce myself. I'm one of the designers at Acrylicize, and we've got James Burke here, who set up Acrylicize however many years ago. We're just going to do a little intro into who we are, and then I'll start digging into a little bit about the brief that we've created. Let me just share my screen, which hopefully will work. 1 second. Can you see that?
Yes, let's see. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, brilliant.
Perfect. That's one hurdle sorted. James, over to you.
Hi. Okay. Thanks, Lucy and Helena, and hi everyone. This is a little intro into Acrylicize, and it's going to be a team effort because Lucy is going to be turning the pages and I'm going to be talking. So let's see how that goes. I kind of just wanted to give a little bit of an intro, specifically because Acrylicize, the project, the business, came straight out of education. So I studied contemporary art in Manchester, and this is really a continuation of my final degree show. So our DNA and our roots are very much in education, and there's a huge emphasis in what we do through working with the likes of you guys as well to really go upstream and help people to believe that there is a route for them professionally using creativity. So what started as a school project has turned into a studio, a global studio, and there's about 40 of us now working around the world creating art and creative thinking, I suppose. So go down to the next page. Yeah, so we talk a lot about the power of art and creativity to help people fall in love with spaces. I mean, in fact, most of what we do is in the built environment. So we think about how you connect with spaces and environments around you. So I think that this particular brief is really appropriate for what we do. And as a studio, we're really interested in the idea of the joy of expression. That's why we do what we do. And I think it links very much to wellness in the sense that the joy of expression for us could also be referred to as flow. Finding what makes you be the best possible version of yourself, what gets you into the flow state, what gets you really excited, enthusiastic and passionate about the work that you create. And this page shows you what the joy of expression looks like when people are really authentic about who they are and how they feel about their work. And so next page. This is about creating spaces through storytelling ultimately, and everything that we do is around activating a space and connecting people to it. So I wanted to kind of show you a couple of projects that we've done which will kind of shed some light on that. But I think there's a video here which kind of gives an introduction into what the work that we create looks like. Whether there'll be sound or not.
Yeah, I might have to just drop it in the chat, and then Helena, if you want to open this link up maybe, if that's okay.
I can do that.
And share that.
I'll share what I'm seeing here. So
I haven't managed to figure out the sound.
Right. If I go here, where do you
just
want?
On the create video straight in front.
So just click on this.
Yeah, this is just an intro into who we are and what we do, and hopefully the sound will work.
Is that okay? Can you hear the sound okay?
I actually didn't. I don't know if anyone else.
And then
it's not. I think the play button isn't down yet.
Okay, let's try it. Will we try again? Let's try this again.
We might have to be minus sound.
Yeah, no sound, but the visuals.
Yes, it gives us a part of, shows us what we're doing.
It's essentially, different mediums each time. Everything is designed to respond specifically to that individual space, and then the work is born out of that process. And I think that process is probably the key word there. We go into projects not knowing what we're going to create, and so being comfortable with that is really essential, and actually something which I think it's great. This idea of creative thinking and this idea of trusting in that is taught, or is going to be taught, because they didn't teach me that at school, and there was always a fear of having to get to the end point and that's got to be brilliant. But, you know, it's the process which is really the point of the whole experience. And that's what the joy of expression is about, being in that moment, being present. If you scroll down to the next page, I can kind of give a couple of examples of projects, and I'll breeze through these because I haven't got that much time. But this was a project that we did. I mean, it's based around the idea of wellness, about connection to nature. And we were given a reception space and asked to respond to it. And actually the picture that you can see in the top middle of the page was a flower that I saw growing out of a flower bed in and amongst this kind of sea of grey concrete and a rather depressing sort of London square. And I just thought that was really, really powerful, that this kind of like this natural kind of essence and colour and vibrancy was bursting through. And it actually went on to inspire what the piece was. And so what we created was a digital artwork where there's a vase of flowers sitting on a giant screen behind a reception desk, and it's plugged into the weather data in real time. So depending on what the weather outside in real life is doing, the painting will respond to it. So you can see on the split screen here, you can see in the top left is when it's sunny, the flowers really bloom and they open out. When it's cold on the top right, you can see ice crystals start to form over the petals. In the bottom left, when it's cold, the flowers shrivel back up again and their bulbs close up. And you get this lovely light on the bottom right at dawn and dusk, where the light is very low and the room kind of changes accordingly. So you kind of got this thing that's really telling you to appreciate all the little things around you. Certainly in nature, there's magic in every blade of grass, and we kind of often overlook that. And this is another chance to kind of respond to that. There is a video here. I'm not sure it's going to play.
Let's it. Will we try it? Because I think I could, if I try with the sound. So if I go back and you just
I stop sharing and then I'll send it to you again.
Yeah, let's try that. Yeah, it's all about feel and fix. We're modeling.
We'll figure it out. Okay, 1 second.
Because when we first saw this, and this is part of the resource that's going to go into the resource for our young people, and I think when we saw this ourselves, not this one, we just thought, wow, this is amazing. So do I just scroll down? Where is it? Is it on this one or more? Load more, just keep going.
Sorry. I can't see your screen.
Okay, all right.
Maybe we just have to share.
I'll share. Hold on, let's do it.
I'd sent it the exact.
No, I've got it. Can you see it now?
I can see the screen. If you scroll down.
Hold on. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop sharing again, just to include computer science. That thank you to whoever said that in the chat, and we're going to do here. I'm not giving up, Lucy.
No, it's
right.
worth it.
It is worth it. It definitely is.
Load more.
Do you think it's all the way down?
It is. It's
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we go on the one on the right hand side.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Can you hear it?
We got sound now. That's great.
Yeah.
So again, that's all about process. It takes a very simple thing like the process of, flowers and how they respond in nature, and it kind of just shines a light on it. It's actually very apt for what we're talking about here. And also, I think like a really key message in all of that is that inspiration is all around you. And, you know, the fact that we went on a site visit, saw that flower, and that flower went on to really dictate the whole of the outcome of the piece. You know, I think all the ideas that we need are right in front of us. We've really just got to see them. We've got to receive them. And I think if you're open and present to that, inspiration is in every turn. And I think that's a really crucial lesson when you're worried and you have the fear about what's coming next. This is another piece in the wellness space. It's actually for a hospital, Proton Beam Cancer Therapy Hospital in Manchester. And this is really about getting lost and switching off and taking your mind off of you know, what's happening in a medical treatment sense. And so this uses the very simple observation of light flickering in the canopy of leaves above your head. So if you go down to the next page, you can see a little bit about how we work as a studio and the process of getting there. And I'll kind of show you what it looks like at the end. But essentially, you know, for us, it's about the discovery stage, you know, establishing what a brief is, what the design intent is, and really understanding what it is we're setting out to achieve. And then you go on that process journey, and the design bit comes in. So it's initial idea generation, it's quick sketches, it's getting things wrong, it's seeing the ideas that are staring you in the face and trying to, you know, get them down onto a piece of paper. And then we show that to a client, and once they've picked a particular idea, we then go into the develop stage, which is the third stage, where you start to think about how could that be built? How do we turn a sketch on a piece of paper into something you could hold in your hand? And we develop that, and we think about it in the context of the space. And then it goes down to detail, where we actually start to prepare for production, and we do final prototyping, and we think about how things feel with materiality and light and space and all those types of things. And then delivery is the production and the installation of it, essentially. So, you know, creative decisions being made right up until the very last minute, until that piece is in the space, and, you know, the height and the angles and all those types of things. And that's the approach. And there is a video for this. I think actually for this particular video, we could, given time, we probably could skip this one. It's on the website. We can send the link around, I'm sure. But it kind of captures that moment, I think, really nicely. And I just wanted to shine a light on activation a little bit as well, because everything that we do is around activating the space, like I said at the beginning. So if you go on to the next page.
This video is probably worth sharing.
Yes.
If you just go back onto the link, I'll stop sharing on the 4.
This is a piece that we made in Seattle, out of our Seattle studio. And it was a response to coronavirus and lockdown and the pandemic and how people were feeling and thinking at the time.
So I'm just putting that on, and you can then tell me where it is then. Is that it here?
That's the one.
Right, brilliant. Okay, let's just click on it and hopefully...
Bloomhouse is a form of thinking. It's a collective thought.
Can you hear okay? Are we good?
Yeah, audio is on.
Right, brilliant. Let's just start it there. Okay, yeah, this is beautiful, people. Wait till you see this.
Bloomhouse is a form of thinking. It's a collective thought. It's the community coming together to honestly express how they're feeling, and for you to be able to experience others' opinions, and for you to also express your own. Our goal was to spur the conversation. We created a questionnaire that over 100 people responded to, and it asked them anything from what are some issues that you've been dealing with, what's happened socially this last year that you became more aware of. We didn't expect it to all be the same, but we did compile the most common elements or the ones that stood out to us the most, and we actually hand illustrated them into the walls that then allowed anyone that visited to add their story to it. There is a QR code. You scan, you're able to see this survey, you fill it out, it makes you reflect on this past year, and hopefully as you walk through the piece and are able to engage with it quite literally, you're able to take away something that you've learned or someone else in your community has learned that you didn't think about. In front of you involves transparent to reflective mirrored material to color to all of a sudden a dichroic film which changes in front of you as you walk past it. Even the form goes from a smaller 8-foot frame to a 12-foot frame, and so it grows as you walk through it. And the whole purpose of that is to illustrate what we've experienced this last year and how we can grow from that. Bloomhouse is an evolving, additive art installation that will continue to take stock and to be a time capsule of what has happened and what we can learn from it.
Beautiful. Wow. I think everybody out there, you'll know why we're so excited about working with these guys. And when you see their stuff, you just get so excited about showing it to our young people. So all the stuff that you're seeing is part of that resource. Right, Lucy, we're on a roll here. 2 videos have worked. Wow.
It's incredible.
I'm happy.
I don't know if there's any more slides after this.
It's just a bit about how we produced it.
Yeah, so this I suppose as well shows a little bit of the process, some of the sketch work, how we envisioned this thing might look from initial sketches through to then thinking about the illustrations and the final design language of it. But it's always an iterative process. Each step unlocks the next step for us. And so, as long as you're happy to take that initial one, the path emerges with the findings and with the insights that you take, and it's just a case of being comfortable on that journey. And actually this one was all about engagement, so we knew that this piece was going to grow and form in real time, and so the process actually became part of the fabric of the work. And as more people drew on it and more people articulated themselves through making marks on it, the piece came to life accordingly. So it was actually a process in real time as the actual foundation of the piece. And next slide.
Shall we skip through this one so I can introduce the...
Definitely.
This was just a really quick kind of overview that the engagement and the activation doesn't have to just be through like community aspects. It can be through workshops and people coming together to learn skills and things like that. So that's kind of what we want to encourage within the students through the brief. So we I think it's all well and good seeing all these amazing things that we've done, but it's loosening up and getting away from that idea of the white blank page and the scary kind of aspect of it is starting a project. So one of the elements of the module, there's lots of mini challenges within it, but there's the Scrap Ideas Challenge, which is essentially just getting the kids to come up with loads of ideas. Doesn't matter how rubbish they are, it's on a piece of scrap paper, so it's already in the bin, and just getting them to chuck loads of ideas, and then hopefully one of them can turn into something, or maybe someone else can take one of them. And I do have a video for this as well. Whether this is going to work, I will stop sharing for 1 second. Maybe, can I just put this in there? Maybe, no, that's not showing.
How about we work around it? I think when Lucy talked to us about this, and we talked about scrap and crap, and when she said, I'm going to go around the bins and look for all the ideas that people have thrown away, and you thought, how amazing, because a lot of the time, what happens for our young people, they look at that and go, I could never do that. That's way over and above. And I think what is lovely in the work that Lucy and James have been doing is it's so accessible when you see it starts with an idea. And, maybe you're already, and we hope with your pen and your line and you're starting to sketch some ideas. But what often happens is our inner critic comes in and we start to think, that looks good, it doesn't look good. And so we throw it away. And one of the challenges in the creative thinking qualification is every single piece of work is evidence. Every single piece of work where you fail and you fix is shown. So we think that what Lucy's got here and what she's created, tried it herself, never done this before, which was incredibly brave, put it together over a weekend. And yeah, Lucy, let's just, even if the sound doesn't work, we'll get this.
The sound might not work, but it's just a drum beat and it kind of moves to that, but we'll have a go. I will. Working?
Fine, yeah. Brilliant. Well done.
Yeah, so the idea of that was just like, these are all of my sketches that we've done for all of the other projects, and only 2 of them have got chosen amongst all of those. It's just the idea that there's always the idea that the crap ones that are before the good ones, they don't always get shown, but actually maybe one of those will spur something else on in another project. Like, it's never bad. You should always keep them. And they've been used. So there's kind of, throughout the module that we're creating, there is loads of these little kind of challenges that kind of get them to loosen up and not think about the final piece. So yeah, these are just a few examples that you've seen. But the idea of like wellness being a state of being is the whole aspect of it. And we're kind of just reinventing the school assembly hall to kind of create that inclusive atmosphere and to be activated. So the way in which it works is that there's 2 different routes that the students can take. One where they've got this hypothetical school that we've created, and there's visuals for it, so they don't have to think and envisage the space, as that's like 1 step extra. But they can choose different elements of it, whether it's the ceiling, whether it's outside, and there's like a specific set of like kind of furnishings that they can have in it. Or if they like maybe more of a project manager kind of side of things, they can choose a space within their school, maybe talk to the head teachers or the teachers themselves and see if it can get implemented after, if the idea works. So like the hypothetical one, we've just created an area, and there's enough visuals, and these will all come as assets within the module to then be worked up and played with and drawn on top of. And then from there, it's just the steps of process and how to get those ideas into the space. And that's kind of a little roundup, very quick.
Well done. Brilliant. So just as Lucy said, there's 2 different options that our young people could take on this challenge for their own actual assembly hall, or if that's just, not feasible, they're going to give them assets that they can use and they can imagine and work with. And I think, having that inspiration about what's possible, thinking about the challenge, not just about creating it, but actually how you would activate it and what you would put in it. So we're just going to pause there. First of all, how's your line work going? Has anything kind of sparked? What are you drawing? Any questions? Any questions for the team in terms of the qualification, or any questions for Lucy and James? And we know sometimes this can be the tumbleweed moment, but and Jonathan, I'll rely on you to keep an eye on the chat, so if anyone has any thoughts or any questions, if they want to feed them back to us. And Katie's right, if you want to pop a photo of your line drawing, that would be amazing too. No pressure, but if you do have any. So what we're looking at and what you see here is what we're working on, what we're building, and our hope is that we will, in May of this year, have all of the spaces and places. So good question there from Ms. Taylor, what groups? And Philip will share a little bit more about that but S4, S5 and S6. Just putting that in, Philippa, yeah. I don't know if you want to say anything there, Philippa, just about putting you on the spot about the different groups. You're on mute.
I'm on mute. Most of my students are S6, but I have got some in S4 and S5. I think it works particularly well with S6 because it's a really nice transition between school and whatever they choose to do afterwards. And they're a real mixture of students. There's students I'm an art and design teacher, but some of them haven't been in the art and design department for years. Some of them want to do economics or international relations or become a sports coach. So it's a real variety of students that have chosen to do it this year with me.
I think one of the interesting things too is in S6, some of the teachers have found very different students who maybe for various reasons haven't come through timetabled slots, haven't taken up art and design, but they're taking the level 6 up in S6, and that's been quite exciting just to see, somebody with maybe 5 hires, sciences, and a level 6 in creative thinking is quite interesting. And that's how the resources are designed. They're designed to enable people, students and teachers, just as you saw from what Lucy and James shared there, to be able to scaffold them. Good question, Ms. Taylor. Is it delivered as an elective with one teacher, or would baccalaureate approach work? I don't know if you want to explain. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot there, but if you want to explain, we've had a mixture, and Philip probably can come in. We've had a mixture of teachers. Some teachers have shared it. One's taken one challenge and one's taken another. I'd say the vast percentage, it's been one teacher working on it. But what our absolute hope is that as we develop up the challenges, just as you saw and can imagine in Spotify, that you can put a playlist together yourself. So the fact that you can go in now and just download the Creative Bravery playlist, you could look at that as an English teacher, a history teacher, a geography teacher. You could look at that experience and you could look at, what would it take for me to deliver this? Who could I work with? And that interdisciplinary model is something that we're very interested in. And we believe as the playlist kind of, their scope develops, so we have more challenges that might appeal to people across the curriculum, that approach might sort of also work. I don't know if that answers your question, Ms. Taylor. Can you create your own playlist? And the idea will be as more and more, wow, Ruth, I'm just drawn to that. Wow. As you create your own, as the playlists develop, you can choose your playlist. So for example, next year, you will be able to choose from the Places and Spaces playlist or the Creative Bravery. And as we're still in sort of pilot version, what we really would want is you stick with one of them for the next year, and that enables us to see. But our view and hope would be that ultimately that you could be able to say, well, I'll take this from Creative Bravery and I'll take this from Places and Spaces, and I'll make up my 24 SCQF points in that way. And that's certainly something that, when we talk about student agency and teacher agency, that's something that we're looking at. And Ruth, thank you for being incredibly creatively brave and sharing that. How beautiful, how lovely. I don't know if you want to say anything about it, but I'm impressed. And you've had 6.
Yeah, nothing to say. I was just doodling, and then you said try and share it. So that was my creative challenge, as to how to get it off a pad onto that. But yeah, no, just doodling.
Well done. Brilliant. Thank you so much. So don't feel any pressure. I can't draw for toffee. So, whatever's happening in your line, and look at what the shapes are coming through. What is your head saying to you? What are you inspired about? Was there anything you saw there from James and Lucy that sort of has made you think, gosh, what would I do with an assembly hall? What's in your head? Also, please share what your memories are of your assembly hall. Someone was saying how devoid they are at the minute of creativity. What do you think we could do? We need your help. We've got something we can build on, but what else could we do to help make that a really, really different kind of space? So we're just going to come back now, and we're into the last sort of half hour or so, and Philippa is going to share with you her lived experience really of what it's like. So we've called this next bit activate, and that because that's really one of the key parts of the creative thinking qualification is, taking the things, what happens with them, what's the experience, and also, it's the call out. It's not just about making that well-being space look good. It's about what are the conversations that might come from creating a space that looks like that, something we really need to talk about in our schools. So, Philippa, I'm going to hand over to you, and you're going to talk about Campaign for Kindness, and just tell me when to move.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Philippa, and along with Katie that you'll see on the call, we're both teachers, art and design teachers, but we're both on secondment 1 day a week to Daydream, and we're part of the team helping to develop and shape the new resources. So I'm going to talk about my lived experience of delivering the Creative Thinking Award this year. with a great class of young people, S4 to S6, so that's about 15 to 18 years old. I'm going to talk about what this experience has activated in those young people and what it's meant to me as a teacher. And I'm going to do this by sharing an example of a student project from our second challenge, which is called Campaign for Kindness, designed by the amazing Studio LR, which is a creative agency based in Leith in Edinburgh. So on the next slide, Helena, we'll see that this challenge asks students to consider a group in society that they think deserve more kindness. And on the next slide, we'll see in this case, one of my students decided that her group was going to be introverts. So you can see from some of our research here, and I hope you can sense from the sketchbooks just how keen she is to find out more, looking at lots of primary and secondary sources, interviewing fellow students from different departments, looking at TED Talks, and finding out about the power of introverts. On the next slide, so the yellow and black slides that you'll see, they're the ones that are given to the teachers to use in the classroom, the deck that they show to students. So they're all really inspiring, high quality resources. And this little warm-up activity explores the importance of empathy. So students were asked to create a day in the life storyboard of their chosen individual or their chosen group. They had to think about the challenges that they face and explore interventions that could perhaps make interventions by others that could improve the life of that individual. So on the next slide, you'll see examples of just what we've been talking about earlier, which is that the awards really focuses on process and not on product. And the sketchbooks are just so amazing and exciting to look at. You can feel the energy from students just coming off the page. So these are examples here in this particular case of the storyboarding activity on the left and strategies like non-stop writing and non-stop drawing. So these warm-up activities help young people to create a toolkit of problem-solving and critical thinking strategies that are transferable across the curriculum. And one of our learning outcomes, as Helena said, is called failing and fixing. And we reward students who overcome blocks or barriers to come up with alternative solutions. And this has definitely developed their resilience and their capacity to face uncertainty in their learning. So on the next slide, you'll see a couple more examples of that. So as the student leads towards her final piece, on the next slide, you'll see the final Billboard campaign that she created. If you move forward, Helena. Can you move forward? Yeah, great. So you'll see the final campaign advocating the power of introverts. So on the ground, and you won't be able to read this, but on the ground there's a kind of illustration of a spent match, and it says too quiet to be heard. And next to that, that's basically the spark that allows the firework to ignite. So behind, all these exciting ideas, there's often an introvert powering or generating that. And I was going to also say that, one of the things that I found is that students have begun to focus on things that are really important to them. So there's other students who did that project have focused on teenage homelessness or child poverty. And I think it's the real life nature of the challenges that's hugely motivating for them, because it makes them feel like they have the power to make positive change in the world. And the personalised nature of it also helps them really unlock what matters to them. So as a teacher, it's been a real joy for me. I'm not the expert here. We're like a team in the room, and each day they surprise me. Sometimes I've got students dropping in at tutor time saying, I've had an amazing idea, miss. Can I run it by you? They're curious, they're motivated, and they're active in driving the learning forward. And that's what's really made it the highlight of my year in school. So I think Helena's going to show you a wee video now.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. So this, thanks, Philippa. I'm really grateful for you doing that. This video is taken, it's some of the teachers and the partners and the pupils, teachers from St Andrew's School in Glasgow who are running it as an S6 with 2 classes. And you'll hear from Harry from Ellen MacArthur Foundation, who helped write the circular fashion resource. So these kids have been piloting the first playlist, Creative Bravery, and this is their experience. Now I'll just try it. Hopefully you can hear the sound. I'll just try a little bit. Oh, not that. We want to go back. I'm just going to pause. Can you hear the sound okay? Yeah, is that okay?
We can hear.
Brilliant. Okay, we're good. We're good to go. Oh, and we're not. Well, we're back. Hold on. Here we are.
So what really excites me about the creative thinking qualification is bringing that idea of creative thinking to areas that perhaps haven't used that concept and that approach before. So I think about that in my job with STEM, and I think about it even deeper with that with learning for sustainability. We really need creative thinkers to solve these huge problems we face as a global society.
The circular fashion resource, that resource takes students on a journey. They start by looking at the problems with the current fashion industry, how incredibly wasteful and polluting it is, and they look at what a circular economy for fashion could look like. And they actually get to create their own circular fashion brand, bring those to life using the T-Mill platform.
I think the main thing is that the motivation levels are incredibly high. It's an opportunity to place creativity at the heart of the curriculum and have that accredited so students can get credit for their problem-solving skills, their critical thinking skills.
I used to be a very creative person, but I moved into the technical side of school and I really wanted to embrace that creative side of me that I wasn't taking advantage of. So I took this course and it has opened up so much more for me, and I'm enjoying it so much because there's so much to explore in the creative industry. So doing this creative course, I'm really enjoying the fact that we can look at something, but we can look at it with 10 different perspectives.
It's actually a course I can have fun in for once. It causes me to be really creative as well. I would honestly say just go for it. It's an amazing experience. Like I said, there's a lot of freedom in it. If you get stuck into it, I think you really will love it.
The experience as a teacher, it's been amazing. It's been like nothing that I've done as a teacher before, because it's just so different and it's so open. The stuff that they've come up with is like blown me away. Sometimes you're sitting and say, right, what have you been working on? And they'll say, well, and it's there. They've thought about it in a different way that maybe like you wouldn't have thought of before.
I think the impact has been huge, actually. I think a lot of them have discovered things about themselves, that they have a real entrepreneurial spirit, that they're determined problem solvers. Some have loved the storytelling aspect of the project, and some have discovered that they have a real passion for environmental issues. I would say to any teacher who's thinking about doing the qualification, do it. You know, this is something you want high levels of engagement from your pupils, and really feel like you're a team with your class, that you're in the learning together, to give all students the opportunity, the chance to shine.
So for me, one of the real strengths of the creative thinking qualification is the fact that it's developed and delivered with partners. And that partnership and collaboration really for me is the model moving forward. So the fact that Daydream Believers are involved, Napier University and other partners here, really shaping an experience for our young people in school, that to me will be transformational. And I would love to see this model develop across lots of other qualification areas as well.
So just as you saw there, that's very much about collaboration, and that's why when you get amazing partners like Acrylicize, James and Lucy, willing to work with you, willing to give up their time, work at weekends, just to pull this together so that we can create something very, very different for our schools. So I'm just going to kind of hand over now. We're talking about the Rethink, as you see here. The assembly hall is a wellbeing challenge. Just a reminder, it's part of the Places and Spaces playlist that's going to be launching and available to download on the website. Early May is our hope here, and we're just getting sort of sign off and final bits built. Really what we're going to enable our young people is to look at their ability to kind of create, design, build and inhabit. That's our kind of our ultimate hope for them. And I'm going to hand over here now just to Katie, who's going to talk you through the challenge, the Forestopia, a little bit about that. Katie, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks so much, Helena. Just quick introduction, I'm Katie Simpson, art and design teacher at Balerno High School. Same as Philippa, I'm also comment 1 day a week with Daydream Developing the Resources. And like Helena said, I'll just really quickly talk you through one of our other ones, which is Forestopia. So as Helena said, we're very big on collaborating, and this is just a little insight here as to how we work collaboratively. So we use Padlet. If you don't use it already, it's an amazing tool, and it allows us just to kind of feed in different ideas from lots of different places. If we can pop on to the next one for me, Helena. So you can see here, like this is us at a developmental stage, and for Forestopia we've worked really closely with Harry again at Ellen MacArthur, and also we've worked with IDEO too, so you can see comments here and us working together as a team. And then on our next slide. So we all know that our well-being increases when we're at one with nature, and one of our newest challenges, we've named it Forestopia, encourages our students and our teachers to think of ways that we can connect with nature in a more meaningful way. So on the next slide, Helena. So looking a little bit more detail at our challenge, it asks our students to create an experience within a theme park that's inspired by the forest ecosystem, but with circular economy at its heart. So it's nature focused, but also future-proofing our world. It opens our students' eyes to what benefits the natural world has for us. And obviously we're talking about well-being today, and it really opens their eyes into what the positive experience can be for well-being when we link to nature as well. So on the next slide. So part of our big ethos is about inspiring our learners by bringing the real world into the classroom. And this project does that obviously throughout it all, but we do have a little special video made by Iona Jost, who is a theme park designer in Florida, and she's made us a little day in the life video, which we know will bring energy and activate excitement within our classrooms. It's a really cool video, she's a really cool designer, and just like you guys have got to meet Lucy and James today, it'll give them a little insight into the real world of design and show that really, I don't know, exciting office feel that we get when we were introduced to all these different designers as well. So I'm just going to hand back to Helena just now.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Katie. So we're just, there's some lovely feedback, just giving you a chance here if you want to feedback or you've got any questions. I'm just looking, and thank you for we really appreciate your chat, because we are modeling what we're saying. We need your help to build it. And just some lovely, it feels like a liminal space that people move through but doesn't have a clear function or purpose. Is quite interesting, thinking about drawing in all the senses, visual, smell, sound, to create a brilliant. Every time I see this video, I'm so inspired and called to do right by our young people and facilitate. Wow. Goodness me. Thank you. I mean, that's amazing. And I don't know if there's any questions just before we go into the last part of the session. If there's any questions for the team, you know, living at the chalk face of it, or again for Lucy and Jonathan, Lucy and James, sorry. I'm trying to see if I can see people. So, you know, There's lots of different ways that you can use this resource to start with, you know, looking at it and saying, right, is this something that might have a bigger impact on your school? So for example, you know, some of the pitches that the students potentially will do around well-being in the assembly room, who could you bring those to? You know, could you connect up potentially with a business who might fund actually making one of these things happening? So again, coming back to that, you know, we work with Lego and we talk about bricks and building. You know, when you see this resource and you've seen that kind of spark, what might happen to it? What schools do you know? If you're out there and you're thinking, well, I work in education, but I'm not a teacher, who do you know that you could be, you know, share this with? Just a small message today, say, have you seen this? Have a look at this. And all of the, you know, the stuff we're talking about there, you can actually go in onto the website and, you know, the Creative Bravery, you can download it. Okay, so we're into the final bit. If you have any thoughts that you've written down, if you've any, you know, what you're drawing in your line, what you're doodling with, please feel free to share those with us. I'm just going to come back to here and kind of, you know, just summarizing it up and thinking about ourselves at the minute and going back to that, you know, the first slide or one of the first slides of the roller coaster, and maybe a bit like me, you're counting the sleeps now till Easter, and you are hanging on with your white knuckles just to get you there. No one will ever really know your true story of what you've had to deal with, of what's happened to you, but I think everyone who is connected in education would totally know that you, more than, you know, you definitely need a bit of breathing space. So what we'd like you just to do in this last bit is to draw something. So we're going to give you one of the tasks. Draw something that talks to you about your own well-being, and think about, where does your line take you? So imagine that you have, you know, a bit of space now, you're on your holidays. What do you want to do? Imagine that you have a free afternoon. What do you want to do? What is your heart, not your head, what is your heart saying to you? What do you really need at the minute? What does the word well-being feel like for you? And I think that, you know, you may be at this stage that even just to think about it is, you know, way too much. And I just love this wee illustration. And, you know, maybe that's all you need. You know, I just need to lie down. I used to talk when I was lecturing around about this time of year. I had a deep longing for a dark room with a lock. And I was just going to close myself in the room and not talk to anybody. And maybe you're at that stage. The interesting thing for us as teachers and working in education is that we sometimes feel that, you know, if I'm looking after myself, or if I don't stay behind after class, or if I don't answer those emails at night, then there's people out there who need me, and that's selfish. And actually, when you delve deeper into that, you realize that selfishness and self-love are at opposite ends of the spectrum. Taking care of ourselves is essential. It's not selfish. And one of the things that we're not good at doing in teaching and in education is filling up that well. We keep going, we keep putting that bucket down until it hits rock bottom and there's nothing left. And when we talk about wellness, we need to talk about our need to take care of ourselves and understand that it's at the opposite of the spectrum and being selfish. So you see here, when we talk about our line and we talk about the journey we're on, we're at a journey where we need to talk about a point in the journey talking about self-love. So I found this photo today and it made me laugh. There's so much I can tell you about this photo, but first of all, I want to point out that's my mum, who is an amazing woman. My dad was taking the photograph. This is my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, and he joined us for Christmas. And I have to, it's a side, but it just makes me laugh because when he first joined us, he didn't realise, being a family of 10, there were no seconds after dinner. I mean, you know, you ate. It was a free-for-all. So he spent most of Christmas starving because he thought he was being really polite and only taking a little bit. And it just makes me laugh. So my mum had 5 kids, and she fostered a family from Belfast, and so we ended up with 8 kids in our family. And you would think that, you know, there was enough in that, but she also was very inspirational and did lots of kind of talks to people about taking care of themselves. And she instilled within all of us in the family a real understanding that we were responsible for our own happiness, that we had we had a necessity to take care of ourselves, and it was important to work out what it was that made you happy, and understand and create ways to take care of your own well-being. So I'm asking you just at the end of, as we're coming to the end of this, to give yourself just a little bit like thinking of the box as our well-being space, our wellness space, and to think about some small steps, you know, that you can take in the next week, over the holidays, but just small steps that take care of yourself, that look at your own wellness. Because if you don't love yourself, you're going to find it very difficult to love other people. If you don't take care of yourself, you're going to find it very difficult to take care of people. And I know, and this is easy to say, and I know myself so very often, it's the one thing on the to-do list that you let go. So, for example, I like getting out for a walk, but sometimes I find myself putting a wash on, tidying the dishwasher. Oh my God, that floor needs cleaned. And before you know it, the very thing that I knew would be good for me is way off the list and never happened. And then we resent it. So in order to be creatively brave, in order to take care of our young people out there, in order to dream big, write down 3 steps and make a promise to yourself that you're going to do it, that you're going to protect them, that you're going to use them as a way to develop your own self of wellness. I wanted to end with this because I thought, you know, in Daydream we talk about dreaming big and, you know, let's do this. And I thought, you know, sometimes we need just tiny changes. So it could be just this evening, shutting down, getting out for a walk, sitting out on your doorstep with a cup of tea, feeling the sun on your face, but knowing that in doing so, it is those tiny changes that your true and authentic life and your true and authentic self will appear. And I think that's our message for our young people in this challenge, that enabling them to do something with that space, enabling their voice to be heard and giving them the space and the opportunity to do that, we believe that amazing things will happen, that we will hear from them about what needs the conversations and the things that need to change in our schools to support wellness. So that's a whistle-stop tour. We'd love to know if there's any more feedback from that, if there's any questions there. And thanks, Lucy, for putting your email in there. That's brilliant. Again, just pop onto the website. Brilliant, Jonathan. Yes, that maybe is my authentic self, you know? Yeah. So I think that's lovely, Miss Taylor, having fun, you know, kids get scared, there's nothing, you know, and I think that was lovely what Lucy shared about the scrap ideas, you know, that thinking about it, it looks crap. You know, you hear our young, oh, I don't want to show anybody, you know, it looks crap. And them being able to see that actually from that sketch, something grew. Lovely, Philip, just about, you know, the flow, to experience flow, you need high challenge, but it needs to be achievable. That's lovely. So, yeah, that is us. We, as I said, the playlist will be available in May. We're almost there with it, just pulling some of the bits together. And yeah, you know, really good comment there, Mrs. Bell, just about our younger kids. We are looking at, you know, the lead in to this qualification. So some of the stuff that exists in BGE, you can use already on the website. There's a lovely lesson, a 50-minute lesson on creative bravery. And we're looking at ways that we can take some of these now and translate them further down into that curriculum. So, you know, you think about it with primary kids, they absolutely get research, idea, fail, fix, tell a story, evaluate. Curriculum for excellence in primary schools is very straightforward, you know, in terms of them understanding that experience. So yeah, and anyone out there who has some ideas on how we can do that would be amazing to hear. So it just on behalf of Katie and Philippa, I would really love to thank Lucy and James for turning up today on a Monday afternoon. Lucy's just back from holiday.
Yeah, hence the burnt face. No, I think it's a great thing, and as many people that we can get involved as possible is fantastic. It's been a pleasure.
Well, it's an absolute joy. So yeah, fill in that evaluation form of what, and this has been recorded, so I'm sure Amy and Jonathan and that will share where the recording is. And Lucy, we're dying to hear about the holiday, maybe not in the recorded chat, so we'll leave that for the minute, but dying to hear how that all went. So Jonathan, just to hand over to you for the last few minutes.
Thank you. Just to echo your thanks to everyone there, Helena, and to add in one from the team and I to you as well. I think it's been a really fantastic session today, and it's been so good to hear from so many of you as well. So I think that's it from us, unless Amy wanted to add anything in at all. But oh, hello. But otherwise, really thankful that this has been such a fantastic end to our first day of the national event, and looking forward to hopefully seeing some more of you at a few of our sessions throughout the week. But yeah, thank you all so much. It's been fantastic.
Okay, take care of yourself. 3 steps, you people out there. Have a great wellness break. Take care. Thanks, Jonathan, Amy. Thanks, guys. See you.